Good morning. And that's Dr. Noonan to you. Thank you, John, very much. Oh, happy rain that we have wound up today in a place of such spiritual splendor and architectural beauty. What an unexpected gift. Thank you, God. It is my delight and honor to address the Catholic University of America class of 2017. This is a wonderful school. I've been reading up on you. I've lived in Washington, so I know of you. My friends are graduates. Yours has been called one of America's best colleges, one of the best values of any private academic institution in America, and one of the most eco-friendly universities in the entire United States. All of which, to my mind, makes up for the fact that once again this year, you did not make Rolling Stone's list of America's 100 best party schools. Did Rolling Stone make a mistake? I understand they may have. God bless you. Determination is everything. Keep trying. The Catholic University of America is the only university in the United States that has been visited by 3 popes, 6 United States presidents, and no Kardashians. Just you. Nice work, people. Today for you is, I know, a momentous occasion. Years from now, I'm certain you will fondly remember who you were texting and what you were texting while I was speaking. Yours is the start of a journey that will take you many places in life, and years from now, when you are senior citizens, you'll look back at these last 4 years and you'll say, my God, how much longer until my student loan is paid off? A special and deserved shout out to those farther back here in the church. That is the many parents here. God bless you and thank you. You are hardy souls. This is a special time in your lives too, a golden hour between the time your child graduates from college and the time they move back in with you. So savor these moments. For you, it is the end of a time in which you received many phone calls from your student, son or daughter, checking in, catching up, sharing joys, and usually probably always ending with those 3 poignant little words, I need money. I know that right now, the only thing standing between you and a festive celebration with friends and family is my commencement address. I will be brief. And also, if you do not enjoy my speech, it is because the Russians hacked into it. And they took out all the brilliance. Go figure. Nestovia. I begin, as John Garvey mentioned, with the fact that I write of politics and history. And so people often ask me the most important thing I saw on the campaign trail in the epic political year of 2016. Indeed, I saw what you did, the rise of Donald Trump and Bernie Sanders, the reconfiguring of our 2 great political parties. I saw new political bases being born and uprisings, and in the end, a great upset. But when I think of the most suggestive thing I saw in the last 18 months, I actually, this is not a joke, think of an item in a hotel gift shop in southern Florida. I was down there covering the primaries. It was a decorative kitchen towel that had apparently been made locally. It was all hand-stitched. It was very pretty. It bore these words, "America 2016." Then below that it said, "Once we had Steve Jobs, Johnny Cash, and Bob Hope. Now they're gone and we're out of jobs, out of cash, and out of hope." And below that it was stitched in, "Please, Kevin Bacon, don't die." So that spoke of a certain economic anxiety, but it also spoke, it was an example of America's mordant wit and humor, which is a growth industry in our country, and not to be forgotten as one of our great strengths. But let me tell you something else I saw in the past 18 months. I'm going to back into it, the thing I saw, with a plea that forms the meat of my remarks this morning. Today is for celebration, I know, but starting tomorrow, I speak to you graduates today, starting tomorrow, I humbly urge you to embark upon a lifelong relationship with a faithful companion who will always help you and sometimes delight you, who will never desert you, who will make you smarter and wiser, who will always be by your side and enlighten you all the days of your life. I am talking about books. You must not stop reading books. That's all. If you seek a happy and interesting life, one of depth, meaning, and accomplishment, you must read books. Now, you have certainly read a few books to get here today, and some of you have read a great many. But now the thing is, don't stop. Continue, even speed up. And if you have not, as it may turn out, read all that many books, it's okay. You can start now. Your brain is young, fresh, and vital. It can absorb and hold and even commit to memory big, important things. And now I share the thing I will not forget that I saw during the campaign of 2016. I had been seeing it for a while, for some years now, but last year it really broke through to me in a big way. I saw this thing, especially among the young men and women of politics and of political journalism, two professions from which excellent work is now more crucial to our country than ever. These young reporters and candidates and office holders are college graduates. They're in their 20s, 30s, early 40s. They're bright, they're ambitious, they work themselves hard, long, long hours that nobody knows about. But it became clear in long conversations and interviews that they've received most of what they know about history and the meaning of things. They have learned and received most of that through screens. They have seen the movie and not read the book. They've heard the soundbite, but not read the text of the speech. They read the headline on Drudge or the Huffington Post, and then they jump to another site with more headlines. Their understanding of history, even recent history, is therefore superficial. Here is the problem. If those attempting to make history have only a shallow sense of history, they will not be able to go on and make anything good. They came up or came to maturity, most of them in the internet age, and have filled, understandably, their brain space with information that came often in the form of pictures and sounds. They learned, that is, through sensation, and not through books, which demand something deeper from your brain. Reading books forces you to imagine, question, ponder, reflect, connect one historical moment with another. Reading books provides a deeper understanding of political figures and events, of the world, of life itself. I have literally said this to young political figures. Watching a movie about the Cuban Missile Crisis shows you a drama. Reading histories of it presents you with a dilemma. The book forces you to imagine the color, sound, tone, and tension, the logic of events. It makes your brain do work. But oddly enough, it's work the brain wants to do. A movie or a documentary is received passively. You sit back, see, and hear. But books, again, demand more, but also reward you with more. When you read them, your knowledge base deepens, expands. In time, that deepening comes to inform your own work, whatever it is, sometimes in ways of which you're not fully conscious. So, not to put too fine a point on it, but your brain gets bigger and stronger, you become smarter and deeper. That happens with books. In the past 2 years, I talked to 3 young presidential candidates, people running for president of the United States, real grown-ups, who, it was clear to me by the end of our talks, had in their understanding of modern political history, both figuratively and literally, seen the movie and not read the book. 2 of them, I've come to know, can recite whole pages of dialogue from American movies. I will tell you parenthetically that it is very interesting to me that the movies our political figures in America most love are The Godfather, Part 1, and The Godfather, Part 2. Now, they are masterpieces, but in case you haven't seen them, both movies are about gangsters involved in organized crime. So make of that what you will, that they are drawn to that. Another candidate for president last year, by the way, stated that his 2 favorite books were the Bible and The Art of the Deal. I'll let you guess who that was. What I'm really saying is that almost everyone involved in politics or covering politics now is getting dumber. They're getting lost in a sea of dumb. We cannot let them drown in it. I think they need your help, your inspiration, your example, your countering force. You be serious. Maybe they'll look at you and eventually think, oh my gosh, we must be serious too. It's just curious to me that people attempting to be involved in the making of history can be what David McCullough has rightly, I think, called historical illiteracy. It is something he sees in America, and he sees it among very bright people, but they don't know the things they should know because they are not reading books. David, of course, is a great historian, America's greatest historian at this point. But he has noted that he was recently asked on a book tour, Mr. McCullough, apart from Harry Truman and John Adams, what other presidents have you interviewed? Think about it. All right. People in politics now are getting a lot of what they know through the internet, through Google searches, through Wikipedia. These can give you a certain sense of things, but they are by their nature quick, lifeless, and shallow reads that link to other quick, dry, shallow reads that everyone else has read. Who wrote these things? Nobody quite knows. And what you see is often presented at a certain slant. They put forward as fact what are really the biases or the limited knowledge of the writer. It all becomes a big lying loop, or at least a big, unnourishing, inadequate one. And they forget an important fact. History is human. History is not dry dates and data, and it's not gossip or cheap stuff. History is human beings acting, sometimes heroically, sometimes inadequately or wickedly. Human beings acting in real time. So, As you can see, I have become an evangelist for reading books, especially history and poetry, but novels too, fiction or nonfiction, whatever you're drawn to, but try to be open to a lot, to let life summon you through books. Be open to its summoning. I know this. If you cannot read deeply, you will not be able to think deeply. If you cannot think deeply, you will not be able to lead well. And all of you, deep down, in whatever areas you are going into and whatever ways you operate, all of you hope to lead. So unplug, read every day. You stop at least 3 times a day to eat, stop at least once a day to read. You can also, I'm here to tell you, read while you're eating. Here are some quick things you're going to get out of it. Information is more likely to be received and retained by the relaxed mind. Reading is, by its nature, relaxing. You're not furiously scrolling down, you're not hitting refresh, you're not fighting off pop-ups, you're not surfing in search of likes and retweets and the elusive approbation. It's just you and your book, which unfolds before you at your speed. It's tactile. Hold the book in your hand, underline it, write notes in the margins, interact to the point even of defacement. It's okay. Live with them for a while. Carry the paperback in your pocket or purse. You must read so you don't wind up with a head full of data you are unable to process. You process facts, data, and information with the help of wisdom, but wisdom is to be got through life experience and books. America, the America you are graduating right into, is increasingly a land of communication. We talk a lot. We write a lot of stuff and send it to each other. We're writing memos, we're trying to inspire co-workers, we're making the pitch to the client, we're conferring with the patient, we are speaking at the symposium, we are making the deal. You've got to be able to communicate well. If you hope to be a writer, here's what will happen if you read books. You can be a writer. The author's subject matter, history or poetry or a novel, will enter your mind. Suddenly, the reality of a style will insinuate itself without your even fully noticing it. It's Murray Kempton's style or Robert Frost's. It's David McCullough's or Willa Cather's, but it will enter your mind and settle in, which means a way of looking at the world, of viewing and of processing the true nature of life will enter your mind. You will begin not to react, but to ponder and reflect. You will imagine how Scott Fitzgerald's French Riviera looked along with him. You won't be able not to. Or how the stream and the small fire in Hemingway's Nick Adams stories looked, and how the trout tasted. These things will form colonies in your head. They will take up space and hold up a flag. They will say, I am the neural matter that is Emily Dickinson. I am the cognitive territory of Leo Tolstoy, and I know what he said. It will change how your very mind works. In some magical way, the deep thoughts of others give a spark to, and almost give permission to, thoughts of your own that had been lurking about but never had the courage to present themselves. I will say very quickly that books helped reveal myself to me in my growth as a person. I know that it was a book, Edmund Burke's Reflections on the Revolution in France, which I read in college, that began to reveal to me that I was something called a political conservative. It was books, a marvelous little book called Saints for Sinners, great biographies of Teresa of Avila and the Curé of Ars. It was books that helped me understand that I was a Catholic and believed it all. It was the first book I remember reading, a children's biography of the Mayo brothers, that provided, when I was 7 or 8, a kind of existential breakthrough for me. When I got to the last page of the book, I burst into tears. Not because it was a sad story, it wasn't, but because the story had ended. Looking back, maybe this suggested to me on some level that there was something about reading and writing that might figure into my future. I can earn a living as a writer every week only because I read books. I follow the news to know what's happening, but I read books to understand what's happening. At some point in my late 30s, I stopped reading fiction and turned almost exclusively to history and biography. I don't know why exactly. I think when I was young, reading novels was a search for the answer to the question, what is life like? Then at a certain point, it was all history and biography, and the question was, what happened? How did it end? How did we get through it? What can I learn that will help me understand this world now? I go off on tears, as you may find as you develop as a reader, that you go off on tears. I will spend a summer doing the Civil War. I will spend a winter doing World War I, or the French Revolution, or the Russia of Catherine the Great. Finally, there is the sheer comfort of it. Certainly, to my mind, when history turns murky, I focus on crises and difficult eras that demanded wisdom for those who would navigate them. I try to understand what a crisis is, how to look at human agency, who made it a little better, who made it a little worse. And lately, for no special reason, and yet of course for special and particular reasons, I've gone back to the stories of journalists living through history, especially columnists living through big history, such as Walter Lippmann and Dorothy Thompson. I am rereading the marvelous biographies of them that are out there. I read trying to answer this. How did they withstand the pressure of sharing their thoughts in public when the stakes were high? How did they handle being wrong and embarrassed in front of everybody? What part of their brain and wit did they use to understand or misunderstand fascism, Hitler, communism, the beginnings of the Cold War? I reach back to the daily drama of those trying in their way to lead and help at difficult points in the history of this great disputatious nation. And so, my friends, you will be texting today. You'll be saying, we're at Brookland Pint. You'll be saying, we're at Busboys, get over here. You are making the plans of life and about to have fun. Fun involves logistics, text away. But tomorrow, put down the smartphone, put aside the Internet of Things, find the real and actual thing of things, read and be taken away in a way that enriches, strengthens, that makes you smarter, more serious, more worthy. Keep it up, pass it on. If your generation doesn't, it will be lost. Civilization depends on it. And so ends my chance to give you the advice the singing school child made unknowingly to a bright, semi-wayward young man who would become a great man. Pick up the book, take up the book, the school child sang, and the man who would become St. Augustine did, and changed himself and changed our world. So, good fortune and high honors to the great and fabled class of 2017 of the Catholic University of America in Washington, District of Columbia, in the United States of America. God bless you and keep you. Thank you.